Thank you, Dr. Simi Singh, Sahani Sir, Dr. Ajini Malekal, and the all Hindi team. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. This is the 1951st day of continuous webinar conducted by International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy. Today, our guest is Dr. Pratik Bhattacharya. Let us begin the session with 1 minute silent prayer. Thank you all. The International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy is about to celebrate its 2000 days within 49 days from now. And we are having 3 sessions every day. The first session of the day is already over in Hindi from 7:30 to 8:30. From 8:30 to 9:30, the international session in English. And from 9:30 to 10:30, we have a local language session in Malayalam. We have homeopathic lovers, doctors, and students as guests today. And I'm inviting all of them and welcoming all of them back to this international session. And we are uploading the videos of the same on the very next day itself, so that those who miss the session can watch it again. You can subscribe the same without paying any money. You can share it with anyone who loves homeopathy. And the purpose of this forum is to take homeopathy to every home around the world. And let me come to today's guest. As you all know, today our guest is Dr. Pratik Bhattacharya, MD Homeopathy, MSc Applied Psychology, and PGD in Counseling. And he's a medical officer in charge, Homeopathy Specialty Clinic, Family Welfare Ministry, Government of West Bengal, Hooghly, and was an assistant professor, Department of Organon of Medicine and Philosophy, Metropolitan Homeopathic Medical College Hospital, Calcutta. And he has more than 24 years of experience. He has presented a session in Hindi earlier, and today a doctor will be talking about holistic health from eternity to infinity. So let us begin the session. We proudly welcome the guest of the day here, Dr. Pratik Chakrabarti, sir.
Bhattacharya, good evening, everyone. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank
Audible
you. Okay.
and visible.
Thank you, Dr. Shahani. Actually, good evening to everybody. When I am actually a direct student of Dr. Shahani. Thank you, sir, for giving me a chance and opportunity to talk. And Dr. Dhanesh, thank you. Today, for the first time, we had a call. So today we'll be talking about what is holistic health and what is holistic medicine. Like from the very beginning, we feel so proud that speak that homeopathy is a holistic system of medicine. Usually we say homeopathy is a holistic system of medicine. But when we utter such words, are you sure? Do you know the real meaning? What do you mean by holistic medicine? What is holism? Then how holistic system of medicine is practically found in different ways in our life. Not holistic system of medicine is not only simply giving medicine to somebody. It is basically a positive way of thinking about health, providing better lifestyle choices, and of course making that system of medicine affordable and universal to each and every individual. So without wasting much time, so let me just start today's lecture. I'll be sharing PPT.
Okay, sir.
Can I send it now, sir?
It is noted, uploaded, sir. Please, you have done it?
Yeah, I have done it. Okay, let me just check.
Then,
is it there, sir?
No, sir. You may close the same and reshare again, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Please adjust your camera a little more. Okay, that's it.
Okay, so I'm
not...
So I don't know why it's not getting. They're saying that the host isn't allowing sharing of this meeting.
No, sir. You are co-host, and let me check once again.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. You are not, sir. You are sort of in Lenovo.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes,
sir.
sir.
I shall make cost. Okay. Okay, sir. Now you can share.
Okay. Okay. So, as we have explained a little bit, that today we'll be talking about holistic health, and that, as the topic suggests, it's from eternity to infinity. Now, we can see the history of holistic health. It is quite ancient. It is at least 5,000. The concept of holistic health is at least 5,000 years old. At least. Okay. Now, for example, we find holistic health, or you can say health as a whole, where everything is put together. We find it in our traditional Indian medicine, that is Ayurveda. We find it in traditional Chinese medicine, Egyptian medicine, and the medicines that were used by that Maya civilization. So we can see that this, for the last 5,000 years, we are having the concept of holistic health. Now, to begin with, we must talk about Socrates, the famous Greek philosopher, who said that for a part can, unless the whole is well. See, for us homeopaths, we have talked about this many a times. All of us know that, well, it is obvious that until and unless the whole is well, you the a single part, if a single party is doing okay or something, it doesn't mean the man is healthy. Only when the whole of the organism is healthy, then only we can say that the whole is well. So that was Socrates. Now, coming to another very important, that is Hippocrates. Now, Hippocrates also more or less advocated holistic health. When we talk about the humoral concept of health of Hippocrates, over there also everything is basically holistic in nature. Here, basically, Hippocrates talks about the imbalances that happens within the organism and how we can restore the harmony of the whole. So we have talked about Hippocrates, we have talked about Socrates. Now, let's finally come to the term of holism. Now, although you can say holistic system of medicine has a long past, but it has a very recent history, you can say. We said that holistic medicine has a very long past, but a very recent history. The word holism basically comes into mainstream, or basically comes into the common proverb with the introduction by John Christmas Smuts. This was the person, he wrote a book known as Holism and Evolution. And over there, for the first time, he coined the term holism. And this book was published in the year 1926. Now, to be very honest, we know, like, it is very easy for us Indians, basically because in our DNA, we can say we are basically holistic in our nature. Like, knowing or unknowingly, practically all of us have some, you can say, some basic you can say influences of Ayurveda and homeopathy in our life right from our childhood. So for us, we know that health basically, it doesn't mean only it affects a particular part. It is very easy therefore for Indians, particularly Indians, to cope up with the concept of holism better than our European counterparts. Now, coming back to a topic, you can say that this John Christmas Smuts, he first coined the term holism in his book Holism and Evolution. Now, there is an anecdote regarding this individual, this gentleman. When the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, was jailed in South Africa due to his Satyagraha movement over there, the governor general of that particular area of that province was this gentleman, John Christian Smith. And the funny thing is that when Mahatma Ji was in jail, he handcrafted a sandal for this individual and then gifted this sandal to the commissioner or that this person. And when Mahatma Gandhi was released and he was coming back to India, Christian Smith made it a point to give this gift, this pair of handmade, handcrafted slippers, which are produced by which was made by Gandhiji in a jail, and he personally delivered this packet containing the shoes to Mahatma Gandhi during his return voyage, claiming that these shoes are too big for him, and it was an honor that he had the opportunity or the honor to keep Mahatma Gandhi's, some memento of Mahatma Gandhi with him. This was basically what John said about holistic medicine or holism. It says there's a tendency in the nature. It's a tendency in the nature to form wholes that are greater than are the sum of the parts through creative evolution. And this particular para brings resemblance to my concept of what I feel is the importance of the totality of the symptoms. If you remember what is the totality of the symptoms, basically, the totality of the symptoms is, you can say, bigger than the sum of the parts. Like there is a famous example. Now, if you have a watch and you have a running watch, it's an operating watch, and you take out all the parts and keep it in a dish and say, well, I have all the parts, but that is not the watch. So there is a difference between the sum of the parts and the whole itself. And here Mr. Christian Smith says that, well, there are wholes that are greater than the sum of the parts. This is again, this part, this concept that the whole is important, is greater than the sum of the parts, that will be highlighting in a bit later. Now, coming to that old story that Mahatma, which I just said, that this person, Mahatma Ji, created a handcrafted a shoe for him, and basically when he's offering it back to Gandhiji, he's saying that I am not worthy to stand. So please remember that although, see the respect between these two individuals, Mahatma Ji knew that he is a government servant, he's just doing his job, but they had, and John was also a learned person, so did Mahatma Ji, so they had an, you can say, a complementary admiration among each of them. Okay. So that was the thing, that both of them knew each other and they had great respect. So this was the historical connection I could draw out from this great man who coined the term holism with our father of the nation. Now coming to the other part, like if you see those two pictures in that big box, basically one is a circle, another is a square. But unfortunately, this is not true, because neither that is a circle nor this is a square. Because you can see the lines are not, they are basically, there are gap between the lines. The lines are not continuous. So why we said that is a circle and that is a square? Simply because all of us, we are just going through the gestalt part of psychology. Now, what gestalt? Please remember that Max Weithner was a German psychologist, and they pronounced the thing which is known as gestalt psychology. Gestalt psychology. In this gestalt means sum of the whole. Vaithama also said the same thing, that the parts, our mind, basically our mind tends to bring everything together to form a whole. It is, you can say, it is embedded in our hardware as well as in our software, that whenever we see things, we try to make a whole out of it. We try to make it complete. So that, according to the Gestalt psychologists, when we can make something complete, our anxiety level comes down. We, in our mind, we think that we have got everything under our control. I'll give you a small example. All of us at least have done our graduation. Okay, some of us already done post graduation, some of them even PhDs also. Anyway, so at least we have faced 50 odd examinations, at least. So if we remember, just think about this, that out of those 50 or even 100 odd examinations, we hardly remember anyone except those where either we left some questions, or we made some mistakes about some questions, or we are still, the paper was incomplete, the teacher snatched the paper away. So there was a feeling of incompleteness, or there was a feeling of something missing. That created a lot of anxiety in us, and our mind paid attention to it. That's why we remember those exams where we left 10, 15, or even 2 marks. Whereas where we attempted all the questions, we do not remember those exams much. This is yet another example, Gestalt. Anyway, whenever we see a movie, something is known as a pi phenomena in Gestalt psychology. See what happens. Basically, movies, they are shot in single. Basically, what happens when you see something moving, basically what is happening? Numerous still photos are moving fast, and our mind is tricked to feel that everything is moving in a lively fashion. So this is known as a pi phenomena. So Gestalt psychology basically also says that the whole thing is always greater than the sum of the parts. So we have talked about, you can say, the relative history of holistic, what is holism and what is the concept of holistic health. We have talked about Socrates, we have talked about Smart, we have talked about Hippocrates. Now we are talking about the Gestalt psychology. Now let's come to the WHO definition of health. Now let's come to the WHO definition of health. And please remember that this definition was incorporated in 1946, and today is 2026. Not even a comma, not even an exclamation mark has been deducted from it for so long. That is 80 years. So it says health is a complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Is a physical, mental, and a social well-being at not merely the absence of disease. Now, we know it. That is aphorism 9, aphorism 10. If you remember, we have talked it so many times in our classrooms. So what is happening? That simply because a symptom, one particular symptom has been eradicated, you cannot claim that you have cured a patient. For example, if somebody was having, say, fibroid in her uterus, and there was dysmenorrhea, there was menorrhagia, there was anemia, of course, and now she goes for a complete hysterectomy. In Hindi, they say that na rahega baas, na bajegi baaseri, something like that. So you don't have the uterus, there is no parvaginal bleeding, but that patient will never ever be cured again. She will develop so many complications one after another. You will be, all of you have clinical experiences, and unfortunately, most of us have examples of such type of disasters in our family, in our near relatives. So with that, let's again come back to the definition provided by WHO. It says complete, mark that word, complete mental, social and physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely some absence of a symptom or a disease. Now coming to the major causes of why we have to talk about holistic health, because the major cause of illnesses in the modern times have changed a lot. Today, the greatest killers basically are obesity, then diabetes, hypertension, respiratory diseases, because so much of pollutions, etc., respiratory diseases. Then, of course, there are musculoskeletal diseases. You must be knowing that particularly those who are working in the IT sector or something like that, where they have to sit at one particular position without much movement for 8 to 10 hours, they are suffering from immense low back pain. Some of them are having reticulopathies, and many of them are basically now forced to quit their job. And of course, with that, we have the coronary diseases, atherosclerosis, which is quite common. Of course, cancer is there, then motor vehicle accidents. So these are the modern causes of morbidity. Hence, as per, again coming back, referring to as per WHO references, you can mark out that almost more than 60% of total non-communicable diseases basically are due to these. They are the responsible for majority of the diseases. 60% of diseases, you can say, are mortality are due to non-communicable diseases. Basically, we are talking about the lifestyle diseases, etc. Now, to understand why holistic system of medicine or holistic health is important, why it is so relevant, why I've said it is for infinity. To understand, we have to talk about certain models. Now, what is a model basically? Is a models basically try to break out, try to loosen up the mess, try to create a structure so that we can have proper understanding of the different parts of that, you can say, jigsaw puzzle. That so like a model, it explains to us in a pictorial manner. So there are two types of model on which health can be defined. One is known as the biophysical model of health. The other is the biopsychosocial model of health. These are the two well-recognized models of health. Now, we talked about models. So basically, models are pictorial or graphical representations. It shows relationships between different components of that system. Now, coming to the biomedical model. Now, the biomedical model considers the only, you must remember that the biomedical model, the biophysical model, basically thinks of the body as a machine. The body as a machine. So, for example, they think of the eye, for example, the kidneys are the filter machine, etc. The heart is the pumping machine, the brain is the computer, etc., etc. And so they think of wear and tear, and that's why when you think of a machine, then immediately the problem arises that when the machine is not working properly, you do not think of the machine as a whole. You try to identify which part of the machine is becoming a problem, and if that is repairable by some mechanical means, or you simply have to throw out that part and replace it with a newer part. So this is what you can say modern medicine is all about. So what is the modern medicine then? It believes the man as a machine. It has a materialistic view of health, of disease health. And of course, they believe in the germ theory, you know. Then for them, the mind and the body are two different identities. The mind has nothing to do with the body, and the body has nothing to do with the mind. If you remember Dr. Hahnemann's approach to mental diseases, you will really clearly appreciate this part, because you can immediately contrast between these two. You can say dynamically opposite viewpoints. And the next one is there is no continuum between the state of health and the state of disease. That means either it is a +1 or a -1. There is nothing between it. Either it's a black or a white. There is nothing gray in between. So there is no continuum. Either you are diseased. When there are physical evidences, you are diseased. When there are no physical evidences, you are not diseased. So what are the advantages of this? Because see, has global footprint, multinational companies, billions and billions of dollars, all these big pharma companies. This has global footprint. So you can find this type of medicines, this type of treatment in any part of the developed world. Then it is quote unquote research oriented. Simply because I don't have much time, I'll not talk much about this. What research they claim about research orientation, but honestly, many of their data are cooked. Many of the researches which these modern pharmaceutical giants does, basically they already have the end point. Somehow they have the end product in their hand, and they try to reason out why this product is a great product for such and such diseases. And to be very honest, every day across the globe, at least 5 to 6 modern medicines are being banned by many countries. Okay. So we'll talk about, if you have any opportunity in the later any other time, we'll definitely talk about the first of the modern researches that is going on in modern medicine, their clinical practices, etc. But one thing is they're consistent, and it is direct intervention. And that is very important for modern medicine. They'll give you direct interventions. For example, if you have fever, they will give one medicine to drop down the temperature. Then prompt outcome. Like we are practicing for a very long time. I am practicing for more than 20 years. So we have some, if like all of you, I also have a dedicated band of patients, families, some families where for the last 3 generations have faith on me. Yet, many a times it happens, they come to me and say, well, doctor, day before yesterday, my daughter was suffering from high fever with loose motion and all. So, and the next day was her exams. So we had to give him some modern medicine. But now we have come to you. So we have seen that even it's a general phenomena that in certain diseases, these modern medicine give you prompt outcome. And the last but not the least, the biophysical model or the biomedical model of health, it is very market friendly. Everybody is a winner except the patient. The doctor is a winner. The pharmacist is a winner. The pharmaceutical companies are the winners. The nursing homes with what is a modern nursing home? A modern nursing home is a 5-star hotel with some medical facilities. And please remember that when suppose in a modern society like US, and it is coming to India also, if $3 are spent on health, $1 is spent by the patient and it is given to the insuring company who gives you him or her the medical insurance benefits. $1 is spent by the doctor and the health providing institutions, again to the insurer, because if something happens, if somebody drags them to the court of law, then they will be able to settle it with the help of the insurance money. And $1, the last dollar is only left for the treatment. So that is very market. Everybody except the patient is the winner in the market value. Then what are the demerits of it? Basically, it is a super specialization. Like they say that one individual who somehow fell down from the 13th floor of a high-rise building, he was rushed to the ER of a hospital, and the doctor, the trauma care doctor, he said, well, I am referring this patient. Everybody said, why you are a trauma care specialist? Please do. Well, no, my specialization was cases where the patients fell from the 17th floor of that building. If somebody falls from the 17th floor, then I am the specialist. If somebody falls from the 14th floor, it is not my specialization. This is super specialization. There was a famous movie, if you remember, where the hero is saying that आँख का डॉक्टर को पता नहीं गुर्दे में क्या हो रहा है, गुर्दे का डॉक्टर को पता नहीं दिल में क्या हो रहा है. Okay, so this is the problem with this model. So we have already discussed unexplained diseases. Please remember that in modern medicine or in this model, if they do not find a germ, if they do not find a pathogen, okay, Metria picans, if you say in our language, they will never commit and say that there is a disease. So it happens. There are so many cases nowadays. It is diagnosed as pyrexia of unknown origin. Pyrexia of unknown origin. That is common today. I have seen many cases where the final diagnosis is pyrexia of unknown origin. So that is unexplained diseases. Narrow view of health. We have said either you are diseased or you are health, nothing in between. Limited scope of prevention. They talk about vaccinations, but if we remember that when you talk about prevention of diseases, allopathy, what happens? Allopaths basically are like those judges or those referees who are standing near the finishing line of a 100-meter race or a 200-meter race with the latest gadgets. And they're expecting whenever somebody crosses the line, they will calculate it within 1,000th of a second. What was the time, how much energy was consumed, etc. What was the wind speed, etc. But for us, the homeopaths, you can say, we will follow the case practically when that runner was running barefooted in a primary school. This is basically what is the importance of when you talk about family history, during the case study, when it is family history, when you talk about the etiology of the disease, so basically, and when you talk about the anamnesis of the disease, basically you're talking about way backward. We go one step back, according to the law of causation. We take the miasmatic background, we take the history of any animal bites, any family problems. Everything is taken into account. Okay. So there is very limited scope of prevention in modern medicine. Then already being homeopaths, all of us know that they are only concentrated about the ultimates of the disease. When there is gross irreversible structural changes, they will say, well, we have found the disease. Then adverse reaction to drugs are very common. We have seen so many cases where the patient was diagnosed with tuberculosis. He was given those multi-drug therapies according to the government protocol, and many of them simply ran away from that medication because there was so much of adverse reactions upon them. Then not every condition is cured or treated. It's a common phenomena. More than 40-50% of the cases. See, when according to his modern germ theory, if you can identify a germ, it is very easy for them to kill them. But when there are no germs, where there is nothing to kill, for example, in autoimmune diseases, in other non-communicable diseases also, where there is nothing to kill, this biomedical model of health becomes useless. Then, of course, it requires a lot of technology and training. If you are unfortunate like me to visit some of my very close, near and dear one, admitted in an ICCU in any hospital or any nursing home, you must have been blown away with all the technology, all the stuff they are using in their ICU and their OTs, etc. So it is very expensive. And see, the next part is the patient has very little say. Even today in the corporate world, the doctors have very little to say. Only it is run by administrators. In any corporate hospital, these are the MBAs with hospital administration, MBA with finance, MBA with HR, etc. They are running the show. And the doctors, unfortunately, the doctors over here are also the victims. Okay. Then it is very, very expensive. No doubt about it. Okay. So I have got a slide from US where the father, he was jailed because he had to rob a bank so that he can cover the treatment of chemotherapy of that 6-month-old baby. Okay. Now, coming to the next slide. So these are, see, this what happens that in the 21st century, our lifestyles have changed. And that has ultimately led to the change in the disease patterns. Like we have over urbanization, our diets have changed, fast foods. Then with rapid urbanization, there is pollution, traffic, and in the workplace. If you just go through the you can say the right hand side, that workplace, mostly it is taken from an IT company. Just you can immediately, the first thing I feel is like it is just like a poultry farm. But in small cages, okay, hundreds of chicken are being kept simply to go to the slaughterhouse or for only for eggs. So this feeling I have when I see these pictures of these IT companies and all. Now, even the US CDC, they talk about, see, if you go through the pie chart a little bit, and if you see that about 53% of diseases is due to lifestyle derangements. Then environment is 19. So almost 72% of all diseases are either due to lifestyle or due to environment. And the biomedical model of health do not address this crucial point that more than 70 plus percentage of diseases are due to either lifestyle disorders or due to some environmental issues. Now, to solve this problem, in the modern, particularly after 1970s, this model was pushed forward. This is known as the biopsychosocial model of health. Okay. So what does this model says? This model says that it is not only the biological factors, but also psychological and social factors. All together, they come together and form the biopsychosocial model of health. That is basically the biological part, the social part, and the psychological part. All three. And if you remember, this is A intersection B intersection C, if you can see, and then the common intersecting point, we have the health. So what happens? The biological factors, the social factors, and the psychological factors. Together they come and ultimately they decide how healthy we are. So what are the advantages of this model? See, this gives a broader view of health. Obviously, you have to talk about the social factors, the economical factors, the environmental factors. Everything is taken into consideration. Even the spiritual factors, everything must come to we bring them together. It is a person-centered therapy. That means it is very individualistic. Sounds familiar, na? When you talk of, see, this is according to, you can say, the health psychologists, this is the most modern concept of health. 1970s, 1970, early 80s, you can say. And being a teacher and a student of organ of medicine, we know this, that our master has talked about this way back in 1890s, okay, in the 1790s. Okay, now coming to the focus of prevention, we talk about lot of prevention involves intersectorial collaboration. Here what happens? The caregiver, the family members, the society, everybody comes together, the medical fraternity, everybody comes together to find a unique solution for that particular individual. Of course, it acts to reduce the social inequalities because the community is involved. Involves the family and the community, easier access to healthcare because now we do not have to go to those state-of-art hospitals or referral. We don't have to. Every moment, this is a very common problem all across India, where we have to refer patients from a village to a urban center, or a urban type 1 to a type tier 2 city, or from a tier 2 to a tier 1 metropolitans. So this problem is all across India. And another great advantage of this model is it is very, very cheap. Okay, and many of these methods of keeping good health, many of them can be self-practiced, that can be practiced by the community as a whole. Okay, and please remember, when we talk about yoga, when you talk about positive health, when you talk about walking, these all comes on when you talk about meditation, sorry, when you talk about meditations, yoga, kriya yoga, all of these come together with and they coalesce and forms, you can say, the cocoon which protects you. So what happens? Everything. What are the components of holistic health? Basically, it is physical, it is social, it is economic, it is environmental, it is mental, and it is spiritual. These are the components of health, holistic health: physical, social, economical, environmental, mental, and spiritual. But there is one small note of caution, because whenever you talk about spirituality, some people try to think in a different religious manner. But please remember that religion has nothing to do with spirituality. You can be a person who is deeply ritual, deeply spiritual, but you may not follow any religion. Whereas you can be a religious zealot, okay, but you may, and you are only concentrated about the ritualistic way of how your religion works, but you are not spiritual. So please remember, there is a difference between being religious and being spiritual. Okay, that is important. Now, coming to the, so what happens? What is the targets? What are the targets of this holistic health approach? One is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual aspects. They must integrate, form a whole, and they must have harmony and balance. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual aspects of an individual should be harmonious, should integrate. Remember, what happens when the vital force is in a healthy condition? This is the thing we're talking about. Then establish health and respectful relation with others of the world around you. This is social psychology. That you have to have a healthy relationship within yourself, intra and inter. Intra relation. You have to have healthy relationship with yourself as well as with others. Then you have to make lifestyle choices. This is very important. We have to make some difficult but potent lifestyle decisions. For example, like I am giving an online lecture over here, but unfortunately, my lifestyle is not that healthy. Every time I try to motivate myself, I have to do something. But sometimes I can follow, sometimes I don't. But that is very important, that you have to have a positive lifestyle. You have to make lifestyle changes. And you have to participate actively on your health decisions. You cannot say the doctors have the prescription kar diye. Somebody has given you a prescription, somebody has given you the medicines. That is not enough. You have to participate in this process. Over here, you are the collaborator with the medical facility, with the medical team, you can say, so that ultimately the product is a healthy mind, a healthy body, and a healthy, you can say, space in and around you. Then coming to the holistic medicine. Now, this is also in the 1960s, where ultimately the modern medicine did realize that, well, there is something which is not covered. There is a lot of diseases which our system are failing to tackle. So then this, you can say, counter revolutionary ideas came through, where you talked about the holistic, man as a whole, the holistic or the comprehensive medicine. Then again, the same thing, we talked about the integration of knowledge of the mind, the body, the environment, everything. So gradually what was happening, medicine was getting collaborated with sociology, with psychology. Please remember, In the early 1930s and 40s, unfortunately, modern medicine took a rapid, you can say, detachment from these other human subjects, particularly those subjects of humanities, sociology, psychology, and all. You can say it dissected itself out. But again in 1980s and 90s, again there is a consolidated attempt to bring everything together and try to understand, try to fathom out what health really is. Now, in this matter, this collaborative approach, you can say, WHO, okay, they have in Ottawa, Canada, in 1986. In 1986, in Ottawa, they have talked about global cooperation for developing positive health. Please remember, it was 1986, and they took a lot of pledges. I'll just go through the pledges. So, build public health systems, create supportive environments, develop personal skills, reorient health services, strengthen community action. These were the high ideals, you can say. These were proposed in various meetings under the WHO. Okay, many meetings were held. If you can think, there are so many. 99 every time there is a meeting after meeting, but ultimately WHO failed miserably. Every time they talked about holistic medicine, every time they talked about the collaboration between the society, between medicine and psychology, between medicine and the sociology, with psychology, with anthropology, even with history of medicine. Like in no college where they teach modern medicine, they don't talk about history of medicine. And please remember, if you forget your past, definitely your future will be ruined. Because if you remember that we are talking about something of 5,000 years now, there are civilizations, the Great Pyramids, the Harappan and the Great Pyramids were there, the Maya civilizations were there. There are many big civilizations, Babylon civilizations were there, but all disappeared. And the only exception you can say are those who are in the subcontinent, where at least we have, you can say, a continuum of civilization for the last 5,000 years. So if we remember your roots, if we remember our past, then our future will be secured. Otherwise, we'll be just the spectacles, like what happened to the Roman Empire or what happened to the great pharaohs of Egypt. So it is our choice. We have to take a pledge. We have to think in this way, that do we need to know the history of medicine? Do we need to collaborate? Do we need to, you can say, come together and define what is health? Now, please remember that, well, although we may talk about holistic medicines and reductionist ways, like we basically what happens, those who practice holistic medicine, we collect parts and ultimately from particulars we form the generalization. Whereas on the reverse, what happens, we can reduce things from a organ to a system, from a system to a viscera, to a cell, to etc. etc. So see, this is common. This is nothing, but this happens simultaneously, because all of our human mind, you can say, all of our human brain has a, you can say, a pre-embedded, you can say, hardware, where our left hemisphere and the right hemisphere have different brain functions. Like our left brain is very analytical, but our right side of the brain is holistic in thought. So each of us will have analytical skills as well as holistic skills. Each of us will have analytical inspirations and holistic inspirations. So what happens? Some of us may be more dragged towards the left side of the left side of the brain may be more functional. We become more analytics, and the others may have the center at the right side of the hemisphere, which makes them more creative. Their thinking will be more holistic. Now, what are the popular holistic therapeutic methods? We all know that is homeopathy, Ayurveda is there, yoga is there, naturopathy is there, Siddha is there. So, if you just club them together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Basically, these are all originating. We should be feeling so proud that at least the most of them are coming from our subcontinent, at least from India. And of course, although we say acupressure and acupuncture and others, like traditional Chinese medicine, moxibustion, etc., though acupressure basically is a misnomer because in Latin, acus means needles and punctura means to prick something, to puncture something. So acupressure basically is a misnomer because all those free nerve endings where the acupuncture needles tip should touch, acupressure cannot reach that point. Anyway, so this acupressure, okay, people actually what happened during that AIDS epidemic and all, people became really afraid of needles. So they thought, well, let us not prick the needle, let us just simply press those acupressure points. Okay. Anyway, so acus in Latin means needles and pressure, and punctura means to puncture that particular, to touch those free nerve endings. Okay. So these are the very common holistic therapeutic processes that we have. Of course, being homeopaths, being very proud homeopaths, we know that we are a part of this great system of holistic medicine. Now, before I pause, before I conclude my lecture, these are my humble suggestions or humble tips for all of us to promote positive health. Number one, all of us, we need some more sleep, particularly with our bad habit of having screen time, looking at the blue screen for a very long time. There are scientific researches that say not only it destroys our eyesight, it also prevents sleep. Then please drink water, particularly all the ladies who are with us tonight. My humble, humble prayer that please do not drink water from a tablespoon, at least have glasses of water, please. Okay. Then, of course, there is a danger of the fast food, particularly with the 10 minutes Zomato apps and all. Nowadays, there are many young generation, particularly, they hate their ghar ka khana and they try to take all this food, and it really, I have seen so many young patients, early 25, 28, 30s, they're suffering from obesity, they're suffering from hypertension. So this is one of the causes. Then please let go of your bad habits. Make like all of us I know majority of us on the 31st last year, we made a list that these are the things we'll avoid. And from next year, we'll be better people. We'll go, all these bad things will remove from our life. But I know that most of us are doing all the same things. So this is you can say you should take a pledge that, well, all the bad habits, let us please remove those and try to have a healthy lifestyle. Then exercise. There is nothing else. You have to do it in the morning. You have to any time whenever you have free time, you do some exercises. Even climbing stairs can help. That is a very good cardio exercise. Simply, if you cannot go out, okay, and please do not buy treadmills and all, because ultimately they'll be used to drying your clothes. At least all of my friends, their treadmills in house are now lying in the balcony where their wives or mothers are drying clothes on them. Okay, so better if you can walk, otherwise at least climb stairs. Then play, learn, and grow together. Have quality time with your friends and quality time with your family members. This is very important. Okay, there, if you have 1 million followers in Insta or in Facebook, it means nothing. Having real friends whom you can touch, whom you can, during your problem, if you can cry with them, that is immensely beneficial. As a psychologist, I can assure you. Then you have to think positively. there are so many, every day I'm bombarded with all those WhatsApp messages, like a cup is half full or half empty, all those. But at least you develop yourself and think. Please, just one small advice. Please remember that whenever we are in crisis, whenever we are anxious, we do not remember the simple facts that for every problem, it's logics that says that for every problem, there are multiple solutions. Only when you are depressed, when you are anxious, you fail to find them, and you try to find out, and in your mind you have only one solution, and that creates a lot of anxiety in you. So please have positive thinking. Okay. And just like you can say, let me just share that. Please remember that holistic medicine, holistic health is for the future. Billions, basically, even nowadays, if you go through those Tata 1mg and all those apps where you can get online medicines, our medicines are freely available. All the multinational companies who have medical outlets, they are keeping our medicines, they are stocking our medicine. It is a big business. So we must feel happy that, well, our holistic healthcare practices, particularly like homeopathy, will be there, will care for the society. And even nowadays, what happens, it is have become quote unquote cool to become a holistic physician. 30 years back, people would have laughed at you. But today, if you say that I am a physician who practices holistic medicine, that will make you basically cool, and that will, when people will look after you and say, well, this person is really a good doctor. Okay. So just before I conclude, please remember that any system of medicine, if you just compare and contrast this with homeopathy, you see how successful our system is. Our system is very user friendly, it is accessible, it is very cheap, it is very effective. So homeopathy as a whole has all the characters to be a very successful healthcare system, particularly in relation to holistic medicine. Now I pause and I simply said, if the coordinator sir have time, then I am willing. If
Yes,
anything,
sir. Thank you. Thank you. Uh, Thank you very much, sir. It was really a very good session, and you really covered everything about the holistic health and why homeopathy is important in this world, and why this holistic system need to be developed in such a way, and each and everyone need to take care of the exercise and everything. And but my conclusion to remark here is that you should enjoy whatever things you do. That will be the most beneficial aspect of holistic health, I think. And now I am inviting Dr. Sharji Kuriyat to say a few words as well as the vote of thanks to the session. Dr. Sharji Kuriyat, our Vice President, is here. Please unmute, sir. No. Yes.
Yes, doctor, I am listening to you. You made a nice talk today. Congratulations for your nice presentation. On behalf of IOPH, I extend my heartiest congratulations and thank you for being our guest today for this wonderful webinar. We expect to have more support and webinars in our forum. You will be listened more in the coming days by our YouTube watchers. So thank you, sir, for
thank
your.
you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Good night, sir. Thank
Yes.
you. Okay.
Thank
Yes, sir.
With your permission,
Thank
sir,
you.
I'm leaving the meeting, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you
Sir.
very
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you.
We will be yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Shaji Kutiyat, and we will be uploading the videos of the same tomorrow itself, so that those who missed the session can watch it again. You can subscribe the same without paying money, as well as you can contribute to IFBS a small amount as per your convenience, as early as possible. With that, we come to the end of the day 1951. It's over to